Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Elite. Hope you guys are basically doing so well. So what we are going to be doing in today's video is we are going to be looking at how you can actually get those sniper entries. Right now, this is really beginner friendly, and whether you're not a beginner, still this works for you. So make sure you watch the video until the end, and please make sure you smash the like button for YouTube algorithm, and please make sure you subscribe. Check out my Instagram to keep the motivation on, and please let's get into it. Now this is USD JPY. As you guys know, I often trade USD JPY, GBP JPY, because those pairs kind of have the same moves. Like I told you guys, if we are basically looking at these two pairs, let me type this here for you guys. If we have GBP JPY, if we have GBP JPY and then USD JPY, the moves are basically the same. If it's an uptrend, we are basically looking at an uptrend for both. We are basically looking at an uptrend for both. Now, it's the same thing that I was actually looking at right here. So this was USD JPY. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically break down the way on how I actually get some of these trades, because the previous week I caught up some trades on USD JPY, though I got some losses, and then many of them were actually winning trades. Now let's slide into it. So first things first, of course, we are using price action here. You can decide to use some indicators, but let's try out some pure price action first here, and then we shall see how it actually works out. So first things first, what we are looking at is we are looking at the overall trend. What's the overall market trend? Could it be an uptrend or a downtrend? Because those are some of the key points that we actually have to note down. And then after getting the overall trend, what we look at basically is, we are looking at those levels where to get entries in. And what we look at most times, we look at these pullbacks, these kind of pullbacks. That's why we often get trades. So the whole point now could be, okay, how do I identify those pullbacks? How do I identify those pullbacks? Now, what we do first things first is we can use some objects. We can decide to draw trend lines. We can decide to draw horizontal lines, basically to mark out key levels. You guys remember that we can decide to draw two trend lines, to form up a channel whereby the market is basically bouncing in between these two key levels, two regions, just like that. So basically we would be looking at these regions here, these regions, and then expecting the market playing in between there. And then on the other hand, what else? We are looking at the support and resistance levels. Those are some of the easiest things that we can actually always mark out first. We have support and resistance levels. In such an instance, we assume that a market could have been, playing around in here, just like that. Basically, that's the thing that we look at first. Now, we can always get these key levels on bigger time frames. You're not going to get this on the M15. If you are doing some day trading, you're basically looking at holding your trades for a couple of hours during the day. You are going to you are going to get those key levels on bigger time frames. So that's what we have to do first. Now, we're going to do a clear live example on USD JPY. So this is USD JPY, and then what we are going to do is we can slide to the H4 first and then prove this out. So we are on the H4 first. Now, you can see that I'd actually marked out some levels out already. I had this, where you can see that the market reacted here. The market hit the key level and then had to move back down. Then this time around, it acted as a support. So it's basically saying at this point, it was actually a resistance level. This was a resistance level because the market reached there and then had to bounce off, okay, that being a resistance, and then on this point here the resistance is being broken, and this time around is becoming the support. So that's the first thing that we are looking at. So we can go ahead and mark out some of those levels. You can see, sorry, you can see that we also had this particular level here. We also have this, oh sorry, we also have this right here. Okay, let's go ahead and do some. Awesome, there we go. Now that's the first thing. Again, I can see that we can possibly draw a trend line. We can be able to draw a trend line to this point, while we have a couple of touches. We have this, we have this, then we have this. So basically what I can do in here is due to the fact that the market had to come back and retest a trend line, this kind of gives me some confidence that when the markets reach the trend line again, I'll be looking at scaling in a trade. And guess what happened? Is the right thing that actually happened. You can see these trend lines are often respected a lot. So that's the first thing that we basically always look at. We are looking at those key levels. They can be resistance levels, or they can be, you know, trend lines. Basically the market is playing in between those two trend lines, bouncing off up and down, basically getting those trades in. So we being on the H4 now, we have what we call the top to down analysis. I'm basically calling it scaling down to the smaller time frames. Now we can go to the H1. Now on the H1, we are looking at what could have happened, you know, or what could have happened in the past, and it's basically going to give us the prediction to the future. Now I can see that we got a pullback. We are looking at this current market price. We got a pullback. Initially, of course, it was a clear push to the upside. Remember, whenever we have a push either to the upside or downside, we would expect what we call a pullback, because the market doesn't have to move just randomly like boom. Nope. We would definitely expect those pullbacks. And guess what happened? It was time to do the pullback. Sorry, we had the pullback through. As you guys can see, we came back for a pullback. Now, on coming for pullback, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a trade immediately. No way. You aren't going to get a trade, no way. But remember, when you have those key levels marked out, it's basically going to give you an upper hand. And guess what happens? So I had this level here, but I just extended it. Initially, it was stretching up to this point. Now, I want you guys to have a super clear look at this. So you can see that this was a key level initially. You can see that the market reached there and then had to bounce off. You know, you guys can see that the markets reached the level. It was basically a resistance level and then had to bounce off again. On this particular point, the markets reached the key level and it was time to bounce off. Now we would have caught up a couple of pips here, just a good number of pips here. You know, it was such a small move, and then all of a sudden we saw some small consolidation. Let me extend this just right here. You know, we got some consolidation. Now at this point, what I was expecting was, you know, it could possibly break to the upside or the downside, but in this particular case, we saw a push to the downside to come back again to retest our key level, right? To retest our key level, and then all of a sudden we saw this pattern forming, this being a double bottom, and it was game time. So I caught up a trade around this particular point. I caught up a trade around this point here, and then I had a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. So it was basically profits on this particular trade. Now on comparison, if we can actually look at GBP JPY2, these moves are basically almost the same, because these pairs have the same moves basically. Let's have a real look here. Okay, sorry about that. Boom, there we go. So you guys can see again, I had some levels marked out on GBP JPY. Again, I had this point here being respected, and guess what happened? The markets reached the level and then had to bounce back down. And then I also had this particular level, and it's actually what's being respected. So I'll be looking for buys soon. You know, let me show you what could happen. So we have this point again. You can see that the markets reached here from the double bottom, bounced off, reached here, bounced off. It's the same point here. Again, you can see the candlestick pattern that is actually forming So I expect again the markets to go back to this particular level, you know, playing around in here. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking some of the trades on my small account on over $100 from these particular trades that we are actually analyzing, and I'll be sharing all those with you guys here. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and please make sure you hit the like button and join our main Telegram channel. The link is in the description below, and I will see you guys in another video. I am out.